when we're dealing with fear, as you asked me, how do you get rid of it? We have to get rid of fear at a core level. It is subconscious, compulsive, negative emotional drives that create fear of the future, fear of death, fear of bodies, fear of anything. And we just started recording so we could bring this into the beginning of the radio show.
Hi, Scott.
It's good because it's impromptu, it's natural, we're talking, and then we're going to bring the listeners to the show into what this subject is. How do you get rid of, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and explore getting rid of fear, terror.
Yeah. Because on
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Many times, fears just happen without us knowing it, not conscious, Scott.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The world of 7 billion people on Earth is 7 billion people constantly putting out fear of death, fear of loss of family, fear of the future, fear of aging, because they all think they're physical bodies. And so they identify with that which is temporary. And it keeps them in fear when they aren't physical bodies and never have been, and they don't know it anymore. And they grow up in a world with people, surrounded by people that are just as much fear about that as anybody else. Their parents, teachers, governments. It's not easy to break free of that when you have no support from your peers and family and friends to do it. There's an old story of Buddha who had to leave his wealthy position and royalty and life and wealth to go be a monk and live in the wilderness in caves. The only way he became enlightened was by not buying into that whole thing. I'm sure at his time in life, he never had support for what he did and was ridiculed and criticized for doing it. But he just disappeared out in the hills and the caves and didn't even listen to them anymore. He wasn't even around them anymore to hear their negative comments. When you stay immersed in a world where you've got nothing but negativity and negative emotions coming out of people, whenever you try to make progress and change, they criticize it. Oh, you're a vegetarian. You don't eat dead animals. There's something wrong with you. There's a good one. Oh, you get out of your body. You don't want to do that because the demons will get you. There's another one. Completely false, irrational, stated by people who have already been caught, trapped, and stuffed in bodies with no memory. So it's not getting out of the body where a demon can get you. They've already been caught and stuffed in bodies here with no memory. They've already been caught. And they don't realize it. So the first step towards getting rid of fear and terror is to know it was done to you somewhere. Most people are terrorized of finding out what really happened to them. How did they come to be on this planet with little to no memory of who they are as a being, thinking they're a physical body, with no former memory intact of where they were, what they were doing, or where they came from before they found themselves living on this planet, with forgetting everything. The thing that people are terrorized of is finding out what it was that was done to them, because what was done to them wasn't pretty. And they ended up being forced to stuff in a body and come here against their will and reincarnate bodies over and over again, not getting off the planet. That's in a galactic history and an Earth history they are not allowed to remember. And they must remember it at some point, because that terror is so programmed subconsciously into people. It tells them, if you ever get out of your body and try to remember who you are, we're going to eat you alive and torture you to death like we did before. Tyrants. Most of those programs are artificial. They're implanted in an artificially created field of energy that surrounds the spherical form of the being. Not the body, not the brain, the actual being running the body and the brain. It's like that back in your wall, spherical, luminous, has a structure. There's an energy field that's surrounding it, and through the misuse of science, through which that Atma looks and sees distorted views of creation, terror and fear and domination by a tyrant race. And then they find themselves on Earth. And that can be reversed. So having fear of the future is nothing more than fearing death. As if they could die with the body, but they can't. The body can see, so you'll just be floating there as a sphere looking at it and going, oh, hey, I'm still awake, and there's that body. It's gone now. Happens every time someone leaves a lifetime, loses a body. They all go through the same experience. They're still alive and just fine. They always thought they were a body, and then they suddenly find out they're not. So they think they're an astral body. It looks human, and they're walking around the astral plane for a while thinking they're that body. And that doesn't last. They're not that either. So one of the first things to assisting people to get free in consciousness is to get them to understand consciously what they are, that is not a physical body and never has been. That's a real challenge for people on Earth because they don't believe in it, they don't know about it, they don't remember it. They don't remember anything practically, or very little, about their former existence off this planet before they were compelled to come here. So, how do you do that? Well, there are certainly vast hosts of beings beyond Earth from other worlds and other realities that certainly know how to do that, to clear things up in human beings in this way. But if they're not tyrants, they first have to get the conscious, true free will permission from beings on Earth to help them in this way. Only tyrants force their will on someone else without asking you permission. Which means to give someone permission like that that's capable of helping people on Earth, my associates and all, not from this world, the person has to wake up enough, have a high enough courage and energy at least to ask, how do I get set free? Can I give permission to someone to help me? That's where they've got to get to first. If they can't get there, no one can help them. So the first thing that has to happen is to raise their vibration. The easiest way to do this is to get them to put that body in the trance state we call sleep. And everybody on Earth is an expert at doing this, and they're just completely unconscious. They don't understand that they're an expert at putting the body to sleep, and they leave it every night. They've been born on a world and grew up here when nobody teaches them anything about bringing back the memory of where they go when they're out of their body at night. And you grow up as an adult and you start running across this stuff, and you begin to recall things. And it's difficult for people to learn, retrain themselves to use higher faculties to bring back memory of their travels when they're out of their body to the physical consciousness when they wake that body up in the morning. Who do you know that actually does that on Earth? Practices it, exercises it. That's the problem. They're not doing it. They don't even know about it. So this has to be the first step. I would have to say, first of all, that anybody listening to this show, as an Atma, as a being, has to exercise a certain amount of courage over what was done to them, despite what was done to them that put them on this earth with no memory. And that's when they listen to a show like this, that's when they try the techniques, that's when they start to work it, and they start to contribute to unraveling this tight subconscious knot that keeps them from remembering. It's at that point that certain beings in the universe somehow cross their path. And then they start getting the means and the ways and the understanding to get out of this. And that's how it works. When people first hear about leaving their body, it seems, unless they've had a lot of experience with it in this lifetime, it seems like very strange to them. Because if they think they're a body, how can you get out of your own body? That's how diluted, how dumbed down they've become. How their higher consciousness has been suppressed. So they think of themselves as a body. And if you do that, then how are you going to get out of a body? It's going to stay right because you can't get out of it. The real being that's running the body can get out of it or in it, and does all the time. Except that people aren't aware they're doing it. Which means People have a wealth of experience of journeys into other places, other planets, higher planes, but they have no conscious memory or ability exercised to bring it back here, to enlighten this form they're running down here on Earth. Once a person starts to head down this road in the hue, the primordial first sound behind all creation that supports and sustains all life. It's not positive, it's not negative, it's not psychic. There's an energy behind all of that. And it co-creates with us who use imagination. Imagination is the Atma's ability to look into the grand multidimensional universe and connect into this field of force and know things with certainty. No doubt, no fear, no negative emotions. That's why I work with it, and there is a new consciousness streaming through that omnipresent, meaning everywhere in all the dimensions, underneath the void, between stars, between planets, in the so-called void of space. It's full of a white light with a golden tinge. It's running, it's connecting everything together. And it's not nuclear. It's not nuclear. It's not atoms and protons and electrons. It's something behind all that. The Atma, our real nature, is made of that same energy, comprised of it. And because of that, we can move within that same energy to any point, anywhere in the multidimensional universe and experience whatever we wish and we put our attention on. If people on Earth do not remember what another planet looks like, or another dimension, or that they've lived many lives on other worlds other than Earth before they were made to come here, then they're going to have a hard time getting anywhere, because the only way you get from point A to point B, even across galaxies or into higher dimensions, is to know what it looks like on the place you want to get to, because you send that into this field of energy, it co-creates with you and takes you there. And you're there. So one of the first things people have to do is begin to recover what it looks like on other worlds, to be above the Earth, to be out in space as an Atma, not needing to breathe oxygen, to be a spherical energy being moving around. Because if you don't work with that, you're wasting your time completely. You cannot free a human body to be God realized as a co-creator with the source. The Atma that runs it, hovers above it usually, is spherical, and it can be one with that source and co-create with that source. People have no problem running human bodies while they last. They have no problem putting their body in the trance state called sleep. It goes into a trance. And they know how to make the brain, the pineal gland, the center of the brain, create serotonin, creates melatonin, and it puts the body in automatic, keeps the lungs working, heart working, puts it on automatic, and then you, the being, leaves and goes on journeys to learn more about co-creating in the grand multidimensional universe. People on Earth very rarely bring back much memory to this body when they come back in the morning. The reason for that is because they identify falsely with being a physical body. And so when that body goes asleep and snores, they kind of go that way with it. In a way, they do go out and experience, but they have no developed higher faculties to bring back awareness of what they're doing when they're out of their body at night. They come back here in the morning oblivious to whatever it was they were doing. Then when they do have a very vivid dream, say of being on another planet or flying in a physical body through the air, and they bring it back, they go, ooh, what a great dream I had. Then they eat breakfast, they go to work, and they forget all about it. Well, that's just made up in my brain, they think. It's fantasy. No. The fantasy is living here on this earth thinking you're a body. That's fantasy. That's illusion. That's Maya. Because that's wrongly concluding through a compulsive misdirection of the imagination to trap yourself into thinking you're a body stuck on earth. Tyrants knew this and compelled people to think this way against their will, one way or another, before they found themselves on this planet. The universe is vast. billions of planets, hundreds and hundreds of millions of highly populated spacefaring races in just a quarter of our Milky Way galaxy alone. And people on Earth don't even know if there's life on other planets. That's, if you'll pardon me, not normal. People think it is collectively on this Earth, but all that thinking does is reinforce them being trapped here with no memory. So knowing this, since I work with telepathic communication, it means that I'm actually in communication with you, Perry, not your body. What's hovering above it? And with that, in the people who are listening. Telepathy does not work under the limits of time and space. It is not limited to such things. It's not limited to the speed of light. It's not limited to gravity or black holes or interdimensional doorways or anything like that. Because those are made of matter. The atom is not made of matter. It's not nuclear or nuclear. Nuclear, yeah. It's not that. It's not atomic. No protons, no electrons, no atoms, no DNA. That's for physical body development, to create higher forms that the Atma can run, through which it can supposedly move higher faculties and awareness. If the body's conditioned correctly, people grow up on a planet where they're taught the truth from day one, then those beings and their children grow up knowing how to leave their body at will. Doesn't matter if they fly in spaceships, they still know how to do it. It's normal for them. People on Earth are not normal at all. Not anywhere near it the way they are right now. And they think they are, wrongly. And it's that type of misdirected thinking that keeps them from seeing the truth, knowing the truth, or remembering anything. So I go into the hue and take it up a series of tones telepathically, because this new ray in the omnipresent hue behind all life, this living spirit, if you want to call it that, comes from a source that's so far beyond people's comprehension on Earth, and it's not some being sitting in a throne dictating that people worship it. Only tyrants between the real source and this world prop themselves up to pretend to be God, so they can control people, their resources, make slave laborers out of them, keep them ignorant of almost everything. The real us, the real Atma, has always had command over any form of negativity, negative beings in or out of bodies, or the misuse of intergalactic or extraterrestrial science. But people on Earth don't believe that. They think they are only the effect of some higher power that demands they worship it. If they have gone to the real source many times, as I have and do constantly, it does not and has never requested that we worship it at any time. That source, collectively with all of us, only requires that we respect it, each other, and all life in the grand multidimensional creation. And that we come back home as co-creators with it from our experiences here to share how we found insights into doing things better, to create better ways of doing things in world systems and with governments and things that are corrupt and that are not operating normally. We're here to co-create new solutions for how the lower dimensions are run. It's been run by the experiment of evil. The cattle prod beings to hopefully develop spiritual logic and start behaving properly. It's a failed experiment and it's never worked, backfired. The lower dimensions were meant to be created to be mirrors of the upper worlds beyond that which the Buddhist monks know as the void, most of them, not all. Some are brighter and know a little bit more than their fellows. To experience what the upper worlds are beyond the void changes consciousness. If you want to change something in the lower worlds, bitching about it won't do a damn thing. When you begin to operate in the upper worlds beyond that void, you can work with fellow beings to create the way the lower worlds work differently, better. And this is what's underway now. What's underway now cannot be reversed by any power in the lower dimensions. And it's going one way. And everything else is going to move in that direction with it. Because something new is brought into creation in the upper worlds that has command over the way the lower worlds are. And it's changing. Evil as an experiment is in the process of being retired like the dinosaur. Something vastly better has been brought into creation to take its place. So I'll begin these cues and ask that people listening, if they want benefit from this show, and they're not wasting their time, they get comfortable in a chair lying on their back, take several deep breaths. And when you breathe out, all the fears of the future, your life, your health, money, love affairs, kids, grandkids, the world, governments, chemtrails, nuclear weapons, whatever it might be, fear of death, fear of the future. You're going to put that all aside of free will just because you can. You're going to stick it aside right now, leave it on the couch, on the floor, in the car, on little computer program disks or whatever you can imagine. And you're going to leave that turned off. And we're going to begin to bring this body into the trance state we call sleep that you do to it every single night. Except because I'm guiding this and you hear my voice telepathically, you're going to remain conscious of what we do and where we go while the body's sitting there in a trance state called sleep. And you're going to bring back the awareness of what we do. Call this out-of-body consciousness 101 if you want. How to get rid of terror and fear. They are artificial programs, not real. There's no such thing as a negative emotion that is natural or normal for any human being. Negative emotions were artificially created by tyrants in galactic history and forced into certain human beings, whether they wanted it or not. So the first thing to realize is that no negative emotion or negative drive is native to the real you, the real person, the real being, spherical. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they're in your life, person, place, or thing, but has to be genuine. It makes, whenever you imagine, it makes you smile inside. Whatever that is. And then I'll begin these tones, which are designed to help keep fears and terrors shut off as programs. And you'll get out of your body safely. The body's safe and protected in a field of energy that comes through the hue. And you can go on this journey with me and others and begin to remember what you're capable of and who you are as a being. And begin these tones now. You. You. Be above your body. It's easy. Any of you can sit by a window in the daytime and imagine being walking on the beach or being near a waterfall or walking through a green grass field. We do it all the time. Now you're imagining yourself as a white core, like a sphere, and a number of layers of different colored teardrop shapes surrounding you that comprise a sphere. You can think of it as 3 feet wide if you want, or a couple feet across. But you are the being at the core, the white core of this structure. This energy field is made of energy, but not as it's understood on Earth, and it is not electrons and protons or neutrons or atoms. A hydrogen bomb could not harm this whatsoever. And you're looking down from this sphere upon the body sitting there or lying down, being kind, smiling down. You're impressing upon the consciousness, which is asleep, of the human body to remember. You imagine yourself being in the atmosphere at about 5,000 feet. I don't know how many that is in meters, but it's up there. And you're looking around at the atmosphere of where you live, and you'll see that there are several beings to each side of you that are spherical. One is a man, one is a woman. You get that masculine feeling. They are a married couple from another planet. And there are dozens of these beings hovering nearby you. Myself, Perry, and a being named Ambassador Taurelian of the Seres race. The Seres are human like us, but they have 12-stranded DNA. We used to have 4, now 2. That's not natural or normal. They were responsible for seeding and developing human life in this form and others on many world systems, in the physical dimensions and the astral worlds, long ago, nurturing them up to spacefaring capability, and then they vanished. Their job was to create higher genetic forms through which the Atma, the spherical true shape of you, could run bodies, never be caught that you think you're a body, and be able to learn how to run matter and have sensation through that body on different planes of existence. The purpose for that was to be able to be responsible to create the lower dimensions, animals, plants, minerals, life, rock, planets, stars, moons, suns, galaxies, to be kind and benevolent, and to help each other co-create new ways of doing things for the betterment of all life everywhere. This was our original directive. People on Earth are certainly not doing that. Not just on Earth, but in other places and other dimensions within the 4 major divisions below the void known to most Buddhist monks. I use that only because it is in the Buddhist area of information that the void is talked about most. Not that any of them really understand it. They think of it as an empty place where you can't go any higher, the source of all life. But this is not true. There are many higher dimensions above that. If you want to get to the source behind all life, it's way up higher than the void. Be above the planet. In orbit, you don't need to breathe oxygen. You are a luminous spherical being. Turelian is nearby, and we've got a bunch of us as Atmas circling around him to keep this experience focused. When you look down on Earth behind you, you're in space, and you can see the polar ice caps and the oceans and the land masses and the barren crater-marked moon that does not turn on its axis as it revolves around the planet. You can see the sun way off in the distance, the star around which our world revolves, the third orbital position around the sun. There's Mercury, and then there's Venus, and then Earth, and Mars and other worlds. When you look in the void of space, at first it looks black, full of billions of stars in every direction. But because you are here in the Atma form and have much higher capabilities of perception and understanding, you see that that supposed black void of space is actually white light with a golden tinge, and it's connected the Earth to the moon to the sun, all the space in every direction, every planet, every being is all connected to this core energy that supports and sustains all that is. And that wide field of energy is not made of matter. It is something finer than electrons and neutrons and protons and atoms. It is upon that underlying energy that all those things exist. When you look out into space, you look up, and you'll see that Turelian is opening an interdimensional doorway between this outer space above Earth, and there's a blue whirling vortex tunnel that looks like blue-green water swirling around an opening. And all of us are sucked up into this opening, or we dart up into it, and as you're racing beyond the speed of light upward, because we are not made of matter, we are not held back by the speed of light or gravity or any other lower dimension law of physics. You look out through the walls of this churning energy like water, and you can see space passing by on many levels, stars and planets on levels. And up ahead, you can see a blue atmosphere, just all blue, like a blue sky on planet Earth. And we're going to shoot out the other end of that opening, and you're going to find yourself suddenly peacefully hovering around Turelian and some people from what I call the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds who have joined us in their Atma forms. They have bodies back on ships stationed in and around Earth in a trance state called sleep. Their other three couples aboard each ship are running the ship while this particular chosen couple goes out of their bodies as the Atman and joins us on this journey. That's exactly what they're doing. You're floating in a blue atmosphere now, and you look below you, you'll see that blue-green vortex of water tunnel vanish. And you are floating in a blue atmosphere, and you're looking down on a massive land, circular, 6 mountain peaks in a hexagonal position, snow-covered. And they go down to lower levels. There's a blue glass tower, many stories high, clear, transparent blue sides, and a semi-spherical, kind of a flattened sphere administration area, 2/3 of the way up this tall tower, and then it goes up to a point. At the base of this is like warped marble surrounding it, 100 feet, and white roadways going out in each direction like the spokes of a bicycle tire, all the way straight as an arrow to a white golden beach that completely surrounds the circumference of this landmass floating in this blue energy. No suns, no moons, no stars. We are above the fifth dimension above the void in a specially created plane between the fifth and sixth dimensions above the void. And this is called the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. Beings come here above the void to co-create with others ways of changing the way the lower dimensions are run, ways of neutralizing tyrant beings to become non-tyrant, something new. It is unusual, and I would not have done this on my own, to escort anybody to such a high place, because there is no negative emotions. There is no cause and effect. There are no planets or moons or stars. What land is here and why it's here is floating in special energy fields. When you look at the mountains and the blue-green forests that descend below the lower levels, that go down to about a third of the way down the mountainside of this blue tower in this white marble floor clearing, and you look out towards the coast in every direction, you see these white roadways running straight as arrows. They go towards the mountain into caves and come out the other side of the mountains and go straight as an arrow to the beach on the other side, in every direction. Down these roadways to the left and to the right every so often are little right turns and left turns into cleared out areas of jungle. And in them are different buildings and structures which are laboratories beings work in from all over the lower dimensions to collectively create new ways of doing for the good of all life, not only here, but in the lower dimensions, and all the way down to planet Earth as well. What was created here is a new type of energy consciousness that moves through this blue atmosphere. In this plane, it is blue. In the higher levels, it's pure white light, a slight gold tinge to it. The slight gold tinge to it is the new consciousness of the ray running through the omnipresent, the all-encompassing field of energy that sustains and supports all dimensions, planets, galaxies, interdimensional doorways, voids of space, everything. In this reality, there is no time and space. When you cause something, there is no effect. Beings who work here do not carry anything of a negative nature here, and it's impossible for them to create anything of a negative nature here. The motivation in this energy up here is to create only that which will be of uplifting benefit to all life, everywhere. In the higher worlds above, in the void, and into the etheric, mental, causal, astral, emotional plane, and down the physical universe where we live on Earth. And it is running through pyramids which have started to appear between stars out in space and under oceans on bottom of planets that are golden-sided, quartz-capped, luminous, and they are not made of matter, but they've designed to exist in matter planes. And they transmit a certain type of energy that is designed to retire evil as an experiment at the right time in every direction. There are some classified scientists on Earth that know these pyramids have been showing up. One they know exists in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. They don't know what it's doing, and they can't affect it in any way, shape, or form. But it is changing things for the better. When you look at that blue glass administration tower, you're drawn to it. But first, look down at the peaks below right below you, these tall 6 mountain peaks in a hexagon. And down between them in a valley is a forest, and then like a big lake surrounding an island. And in the center of the island is a white marble clearing. And you can see this and focus on it like you have telephoto lens for eyes. And there's a 4-foot-high blue kind of pedestal with gold, lapis lazuli, they call it on Earth. And above that, a big sphere, a cobalt blue sphere hovering there. And it's pulsing out a blue energy field that comes out and creates the atmosphere around and above and below this floating island. It's kind of like a small continent, really, and it's circular. This place did not exist in the upper worlds above the void over 7.5 years ago Earth time. It was recently brought into creation and is designed to do something different, something no one expected in all of eternity, but it is underway now. You're going to find yourself hovering as a sphere around this blue cobalt sphere, looking into it. Down on that island, you're going to feel bare feet touch this white marble, and it's going to send an energy up your legs. It's very soothing, and it goes right into the white core of your spherical being, hovering above a body that looks like you. But this is an energetic form of your body on Earth. It's made of pure energy. And when you look into the sphere, you see a huge galaxy of light spinning. It's comprised of beings like us. It is in a much higher dimension than this U Expansion Ray Academy. And we're going to go through that blue sphere right now, right through it, right into it, and get sucked upward in a field of golden light, like a big tube of it. When you come out the other side, you find yourself heading towards what looks like the massive stars in the center of a galaxy. But these aren't stars, these are beings. And billions of them circle like the stars in a galaxy around a core. We're going right through that, right in the center of that core. You're going to find a big hollow space in there and a blue star glowing in the center of it, spherical. We're going to go into the center of that. You cannot be harmed. It's you, the Atma, made of this energy, that's returning here. There are several planes higher than this, but this is what you would call the source or prime creator. The beings who collectively make it up are prime creator, and that includes us. When you're in the center of this blue star, you look out and can see all these luminous beings circling around this center, and you hear collectively in your head. Your purpose as a being in existence is to go into the lower worlds, in through your trials and tribulations, find new ways to co-create ways of doing things better and bring it back to this source. What has not been happening is that being stuck in those lower dimensions for one reason or another have not been returning. The source does not have all the answers for how to fix the broken lower worlds, to retire evil. We are from this source, and it's up to us to bring back new ways of doing things, add us into that source. You don't ever lose your individuality, but you download what you know here. Your impulse or creative drive here, magnified 1,000,000 times, is for you to create new ways of doing things with the right use of your creative imagination to benefit all life, not just all life on planet Earth, all life in all the galaxies of the physical universe and all 144 parallel dimensions of that in the physical reality, 104 parallel dimensions in the astral, causal, mental, and etheric, through the void, past the void, up into the area of what we call the Atma plane, the first plane above the void, up into the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, between the 5th and 6th levels, and all the way up many planes above that into the center of this whirling galaxy of beings. You are going to bring this memory of who and what you really are and what your purpose is back down through this huge tunnel of golden light. You're going to come right out of that cobalt blue sphere hovering above that blue pedestal, hover above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy, looking down on this island and the mountain peaks. And then you're going to go down into that blue glass tower, 2/3 the way up it, right through the walls. It's a flattened sphere and a big tower minute. You're going right inside it, and you find white marble tiers of what seats or places you can stand, surrounding a fountain that looks like white alabaster on a blue pedestal. And there's this golden beam of light coming down into it like water, flowing over the edges in an even glistening sheet, and it disappears through the floor. You're going to move your being, because it's good for you, right into the middle of that huge volume of energy moving up and down. And it's going to flow through you like water, like a breath of fresh air. You can hear the sound of 1,000,000 men and women's voices with perfectly flawless vocal cords singing hue, 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 hue on all these levels until it blends into one constant whole round hum, flowing through your being. This is you in telepathic communication, comprised of this same energy, communicating to the omnipresent nature of it everywhere, in all beings. And then you find yourself outside that blue glass tower, hovering in the blue atmosphere above this Hue Expansionary Academy, looking down on this huge landmass with a golden white beach completely surrounding it. And you look down and you see this blue-green water vortex open up right through the land, and you get dart down through it with Turelian leading. It's just like you and Atma, but he's not from Earth. And you find yourself coming out the other end of that, and you stop to hover above planet Earth, where we started this journey. And then you look down on Earth, and you see like a heat wave go over it. And the next moment, you see Earth in the same place in a higher frequency, 2 parallel dimensions up from the one you're used to. And this world is covered with oceans like ours, but there are no polar ice caps. The moon is in the same place where the barren moon is in the world you're used to, except it has green, an atmosphere and water and some domed cities on it. It spins on its axis, and it's quite alive. That continent you see down there is 2/3. It goes up above the equator, stretches clear around the left and right hemisphere of that globe. And on the backside, you can see right through the planet as the Atma, is another continent 2/3 its size. And you can see that's in glowing golden letters, Lemuria. This is in a parallel dimension on an Earth world where the poles never flipped like they did here on Earth, where you're used to. And beings from the Galactic Alliance, master teachers of theirs, and beings from other dimensions and other planets and other galaxies meet here. It's a protected place. And they have the freedom to move back and forth from here into the reality we know of as Earth, and not be seen and not be heard. If they had not been here for a very long period of time, if there had not been a secret extraterrestrial base created inside Mount Shasta in a higher frequency in 1908, we would all be dead on this planet now. We call Earth. So there have been, and always have been, beings from elsewhere endeavoring to change things. Now they have the tools to actually transform this world, to make it like the world you're seeing, which is a prototype. You can see down on this huge continent, here's a sphere, there's this continent over the equator. The bottom edge of it is a kind of a mile-long, half-moon-shaped green emerald beach, glowing, and you're attracted to it. Turelian and all of us dart down through the atmosphere, go through the levels of the atmosphere, and you come to stop and hover above this green sand, near the center of it. And in the background, between these tall palm trees and huge prehistoric ferns, is a soft peat moss kind of blue dirt that leads back 3 feet wide, a mile, to a white marble clearing further inland. You're going to feel your feet like the feet in your regular body. Touch this green sand that looks like little polished emeralds, and you sink your feet down into it. Now this energy is glowing, and you feel an energy rush up your legs and up into the white core of your spherical being, hovering above that body. It goes out into a layer from the white core, another layer of teardrop shapes, which are faculties, which is yellow, then orange, then red, then green, and this is going to that green level of your being, turning certain teardrops on. Remember, this is all being transmitted telepathically back down into the brain or to the memory field around your body, so that you'll remember this experience on Earth and you'll have a changed consciousness. You feel your feet sink into the sand, and then they disappear, and you're a floating orb, spherical energy being, And we move collectively, the group of us, or the tops of these trees, and we come down towards this white marble circular floor. And around it is tall lavender grass 4 feet high. And you can feel the palms of your hands touching the top of this grass as you walk down this path. This is a body form that looks like you on Earth, but it's made of a different kind of energy. It's an extension of the Atma above it, the sphere, so it has tactile sensation in this matter world. This place, this Earth, is 2 levels up in molecular time rate vibration from the Earth you're used to. It exists in a slightly higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. And you're going to feel your feet walk on that white marble up to a statue. It's like a 4-foot square pillar of lapis lazuli, blue stone laced with gold, polished. And there is a quartz crystal statue of a woman with huge angel wings sticking up behind her back. She's not an angel in the sense of religions on Earth. The wings represent the ability of the Atma to run bodies in this form and fly throughout the universe at the same time. She has her hands out to her side, palms open, with green energy, subtle, glowing, and you can see it's lighting up the green sand at the beach. This is an interdimensional doorway, this statue. This is a 10-foot tall woman in a beautiful, long flowing satin clear dress. She has long, you can tell this represents an actual being. And you see the quartz is clear, but her hair looks like silver metal. And if you go up and touch it, you find out it's soft. And she has violet eyes, slightly pointed ears like an elf, and long, beautiful hair, black. And she has slightly longer neck than people on Earth, a little bit longer arms and fingers, but elegant and beautiful. And she has a gold band around her forehead, tucked under her hair, and an emerald crystal teardrop facing downward, faceted, glowing with this same light that comes from a higher dimension. This woman is representing a race called Zeontarnamus, from Zeontarnamon 1, a planet located on the other side of our Milky Way galaxy. This race of beings are humanoid, or human-like, but taller. And they have been running bodies there as Atmas. The couple, this woman, is part of a couple, a married couple, who are leaders of that world, and they have run that world in those body forms for 3.5 million years. They do not age, they do not have disease, nor are they stuck in bodies. And this represents the recent union between a huge, vast organization of world systems in one part of the galaxy and the entire galactic interdimensional alliance of free worlds in the other half. And they've recently joined collectively to make a great change, which is underway. Find yourself hovering above this angel statue, looking down on it from 50 feet in the air. You'll see that we're in a group of beings circling around Tyrellians, a little bit brighter and bigger than we are, but looks the same. He's just more ancient, more evolved, a little bit. And when you look up in space from here, you find yourself suddenly in orbit above this planet again, looking down on this water-covered world, which is Earth in another reality, the long continent stretching over from horizon to horizon on one side of the planet, the emerald green beach still glowing down there. If you focus, you can see the little clearing with the statue, and in the distance behind her, a snow-capped mountain and a clear domed city, 3 golden pyramids underneath it. You can see it from space. We're not going there today. And then you see a heat wave in space move over this Earth, and you see the Earth you're familiar with. Polar ice caps. From here, you don't see any fences or barriers between countries. You don't see cities. We're up in space far enough, like the space shuttle or Hubble telescope, and you can see it. And you can see the barren moon with its craters. And you are remembering where you just came from. Way up in the center of all life, in the source, down through a shaft of golden light into the U Expansion Ray Academy, floating continent, all the way down past the void, all the way down to this Earth and Moon that's alive and green, in a second higher thorough parallel dimension of the physical universe, number 3, and then you see yourself hovering above the regular Earth you know. Then you see yourself hovering above the body in your room or car where you're laying down or sitting. And you're seeing this green energy transmitted from the white core of your being and out from that 5th layer down into the pineal gland, the center of your brain. And it's conditioning those brain cells to store memory of this experience in the human physical form. And then that green energy passes down through your feet, out through your arms, and continues out through the walls of your building and goes around the entire planet until it encompasses it. There are 3 golden pyramids on Earth, 2 in the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans and 1 inside a special mountain in Tibet. And this green energy goes into the quartz caps of these pyramids and lights them up. And then it goes off through Earth, through the core, all through the atmosphere, in every direction, and continues out into the void of space, into the omnipresent golden white energy field that connects everything. Now you are a co-creator of bringing benevolent energy, transforming energy to this planet. Then when you're ready, open your eyes.
At the beginning, I saw our solar system.
But yeah, and then we get to a little higher purified planet in Earth in the same space in a higher molecular time rate frequency, so that we have a good clean atmosphere and vibration to start from. We come back to that point and then come back to our regular Earth. We want to bring the awareness of this back, because that changes consciousness on this planet. And it's always coming through us for the benefit of all life. It's its inherent nature. And it's our true inherent nature at the white core of our being as the Atma or soul. So I'll leave that with everybody tonight. We'll go, next time I think, we will go visit a few other worlds that I know of with kind, highly developed races on them in our physical universe. People get a better understanding of what's underway. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Scott, I have one of my viewers saying she wants to get this Atma like me. So
well, you know, now that these books are finally published with the new covers in a larger size, there's the series agenda. It says not for resale. And there's the old one. Smaller. Much better cover. Typo's gone. There's Mark Sanfield going to be killed by these guys by his tent in the High Sierra Mountains, and he's beamed to safety aboard this craft, which starts his journey into remembering who he is. This is the new book of the Emerald Doorway. Here's the old one. Same size, new cover entirely. Typo's gone. This is the back cover. That's Sundar, who's stolen one of 3 crystals that Adepts guard, and he wants to get control of Earth ultimately, make himself a god. This is the first book of the Parallel Time Trilogy, and as you can see on the front cover, guess what's there? So if they want to get that and look at it and go into it like a mandala, it's right on the front cover of the book. And it's available through Amazon worldwide. You should be able to get that book or ebook or from Barnes & Noble in the United States or bookstores or whatever. I have contracts with Ingram Spark, which distributes to bookstores around the world, and with KDP Amazon for print-on-demand and ebook sales through the internet around the world. So those should be available now. And as you know, people that met in the hotel, since I was 2.5 hours later getting a free signed copy of both books sent to them in Thailand.
Thank you.
Fair is fair, okay? So tomorrow we do a private session, you and I. And I think we're taking next week off, right?
Yes.
We'll just take a day off. You've got a celebration and fun to do during that time, so it'll be perfect timing. And this will be recorded. You'll put it up on YouTube, and then people can go play this back when they won't be disturbed and go on this journey again and begin to wake up more. So I wish everybody pleasant dreams and to recover who you really are and to remember who and what you are and were before you were born here. It's all good. Good night then.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Bye.